How's everybody doing? This is Hassan, your host of the Touch Your Soul podcast, and we're back with the second episode. As I said last time, this is a podcast where I talk about shoes and clothes, make them seem a little bit more important than they are to rationalize the fact that I have no hobbies outside of spending money. The March has been a pretty cool time. A lot of different releases have came out. When we're talking clothes and shoes, I've definitely bought a lot. My pockets have been hurting. This week, I haven't bought too much stuff. It's more so been me just paying attention to what's going on, finding stuff that I might just have to buy later. Release that is like that is gonna be the Supreme Margiela collaboration. This is gonna, to some people it's gonna sound crazy. Or like not crazy. It's gonna be like okay, but with this drop, Supreme's been around since 1994, and for the first time in 32 years, they've released just a zip up hoodie with their regular logo. For some people, like I said, that's gonna be like okay, it's a zip up hoodie, but for me, I think that's crazy. Like being around 32 years, producing clothes, having about 36, 40 drops a year. With I want to say a drop can have anywhere from like I want to say like 30 to 50, maybe more items. And it's just now in 2026 that you have a zip up hoodie. I think that's pretty crazy. I passed on this drop because it was $298 retail. Unfortunately, I'm not paying $300 for a jacket. Someday, maybe. Today, no. I'm not doing it. But it was available in three colors: black, navy, and white. I think the black is fire. I typically go with black when it comes to clothes and shoes anyway, so I knew that one was gonna call to me, and it has the signature Margiela paint splatter, which I think is pretty fire. Besides that, from that drop, they did the patent leather money graphic Tims for $328. Those shoes are dirt. Patent leather with Benjamin Franklin's all over it. I didn't see the point in it, but it's a funny shoe to look at. Keeping things with Supreme recently, about I want to say at the beginning of March, they dropped CB2 Low, which is the Charles Barkley's. This was a pretty simple pair, very simplistic, but I just think them taking these older basketball models and kind of putting them in the spotlight, giving them giving them kind of the attention that this generation hasn't experienced with them has been something that's really cool. I think price wise, sitting at 218 on the aftermarket or the resale market isn't bad either. So for me, I think that this is going to be like a grab for sure. And I think that if anybody's interested in, copping a collab sneaker or getting themselves something Supreme, I think that this is definitely something that you should invest in. It's affordable or decently affordable. It's not too crazy. I know not everybody wants to spend 200 on shoes, but once you go to that threshold of paying 600, 500 for shoes, I think 200 sounds like a deal, a steal. So sitting at 218, that's great. Also, they don't scream Supreme, which another thing that I appreciate about them. Being able to be a Supreme sneaker, but essentially having the design hold its weight on its own without slapping a bunch of Supreme over it. I think that was, a great thing about the shoe, not overly branding it, allowing the shoe to be itself, but still adding just a little bit of Supreme within the mix, within the insole. I think on the bottom, they have the Supreme logo. On the tag, it has Supreme written out, but it's not the big flashy red on the outside. When you look at the insole, it has it, but on the outside, it doesn't have that. So, yeah, just a super simple shoe. And I'm definitely going to grab it. I appreciate Supreme, giving shoes from the 90s, that 90s basketball era, some shine, some light, some love. And with that being said, I work at a sneaker store, so not only am I paying attention to like what Supreme's doing, I'm seeing an influx of, 90s basketball shoes, 90s shoes in general. I mean, we got in Griffey's, a lot of Charles Barkley's, the OG Hirachis, the high top ones, the Diamond Turfs, the Dion's, a lot of foam posits. I think that Nike is really banking on the 90s market, and I'm interested in seeing how that goes. I want to see how that blends with modern fashion. I'm personally excited for it. I think in the past few years, I've fell in love with those 90s shoes. When you think about the Air Darwin, or the Nike Darwins rather, the Air Bacons, even the glove that's coming out later this year, I think these are shoes that people don't really talk about, and they don't get that shine. But me personally, I'm excited to see how I can blend them into like the clothes that I wear every day. I'm typically going Jordans or Yeezy, but I mean, I want to see if I could get fly with a pair of gloves. You feel me?
Feel me?
Or even Air Bacons or anything in the market from that era. I want to see what I can do with it. But I do have a prediction that by the end of this year or some point this year, maybe next, that one of the shoes that I said, or maybe even something that may not have caught my eye or may have slipped my attention, will be a very popular fashion trend. Just I think the 90s, like when you look at it, they mix different heights, different levels. Even just like the width of shoes, you can go get a chunky shoe, you can go get a slim shoe, right? So they have the ability to kind of match all different ranges of styles. I mean, even the fact simply that a lot of people are dressing similar to the 90s, the big jeans. I see people even doing overalls, things like that. I think that there's going to be somebody who finds a way to mix them in with what people are wearing today. And if I had to make a bet, I think I'm going to go with maybe the gloves. No, not the gloves. I think the Air Bacons or foam posits by the end of the year will pick up in hype and be one of the trends of 2026 or the beginning of 2027. So I think maybe a lot of this episode is focused around 90s sneakers, simply because, like I said, I've been seeing an influx of them, talking to a lot of older people within the sneaker community, just hearing what those shoes mean to them then, and just seeing how much they love them and what they mean to them now. That being said, my whole life, I have never been an Air Max person. I have actually despised Air Maxes my whole life. I didn't like the 97s. I don't like the new Air Maxes. However, after seeing the Neon 95s drop, I feel like the Air Max 95s is a shoe that I will probably end up getting within the next month or some point this year, trying to see how I can blend it in with my style as well, similar to 90s basketball shoes. But the 95 that I have in mind the most right now is the Granite 95s. And I know that everybody's caught up on the neons. They sold out. The neons, I know that the community loves the neons. They're very important to sneaker culture and especially to people, because that's the colorway that kind of popularized the 95. But my hot take is that the Granites are a better colorway than the neon 95s. I think that just the black and white makes it perfect. I don't know. Maybe it's just I love simple shoes. I love simple colors, but that shoe right there is something that I love, and I think that it is opening a whole new door for me when it comes to sneakers, and I'm excited for that because I do want to try to show more love to older sneakers, and show more appreciation to not only how sneakers have grown, but how the mindset and how the consumers have changed over the years, because obviously I'm not going to wear it exactly how the people who were wearing it when it came out were, but nonetheless, I do think that it's something worth wearing and something worth trying. So I do want to advise as many young people as I can to, if you're interested in sneakers and involved in the sneaker game, try to show more love to OG pairs, retro pairs, pairs from the 90s, pairs that predate you, because it's kind of similar to sports and other forms of history where all of these things led us to where we are now. So I just want you guys to give that a try, because I think also I've noticed that there's been a big focus on people specifically in my generation on just hype releases and collaborations. But I think that we need to show more love to general releases, because at the end of the day, like you can't build a house without bricks, essentially. So these GR pairs are, building collections, getting people started, expanding collections, expanding tastes. So I just want people to try those more. Recently, that has to do with just throwback pairs, is the fact that the Cherry 13s that came out, I think on the 13th, they flopped. And the KD6 PB&Js flopped, which was crazy to me too. I thought that nostalgia was going to carry both of these pairs. I mean, in retrospect, thinking back on it, the Cherries, the last time they released was 2017. So it's not that long. I mean, it's 9 years. Some people's pairs are holding up, But I'm surprised that there's not, new people out here trying to get pairs. Because I mean, for me, it's like I've been trying my best to get all retros and all OGs, just for the simple fact that there was times where I wasn't able to grab them up. So for me, a lot of these shoes are coming out aren't necessarily like, it's not my first experience with them and witnessing them, but it's my first experience being able to go grab them. So I think it's crazy that like there's not new people or a new market for these sneakers that are iconic. I mean, the Cherry 13s, that's the Jordan 13 colorway. I mean, MJ wore it for away games, home games, things like that. So to me, that's what's significant about the shoe. If I'm collecting Jordans, I want to collect the Jordans that Michael Jordan himself wore, because obviously there's some significance with that. So just not seeing as many young people really trying to grab those pairs, it catches me off guard a little bit. Mindset of the consumer has shifted totally from just a genuine love for the culture, and maybe just more so trends and things like that, which is slightly disheartening. But at the end of the day, I know nowadays, if you really love shoes, you're able to get the shoes that you want. So that's a benefit of where we're at in the sneaker community right now. So every week something comes out. If I really want it, I'm able to get it. I'm not fighting for it. But also part of me wishes that like I got to live in that generation where people were outside camping for shoes, fighting for shoes. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like that sounds like a real love for like the culture. You know what I'm saying? So I guess if I had the opportunity, I would love to, experience that era. And that's actually kind of what the original focus of the episode was intended to be. So hopefully I get the opportunity to speak on that a little bit more. But yeah, man, it's crazy that we're not, the market hasn't really attracted new buyers. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We still have it's only March. We still have a whole year of drops. Maybe there's an OG colorway that comes out later on in the year, and, younger people start to gravitate back towards Jordan retros because of that. Only time will tell, and we just, we got to be patient about that. The last topic that I wanted to talk about kind of relates back to what I just spoke on, Nike retroing the Cherries only 9 years after their last release. I just saw a rumor today that the white cement Jordan 3s are going to retro next year, which is a little bit crazy because the reimagined pair came out in 2023. So it's only been 4 years. I mean, if we're most of the time retroing a shoe every 7 to 10 years, I want to say the range. What made them want to bring it back so soon? And I'm a little bit fearful for them bringing it back so soon because, I mean, when you think about the white cement 3, it's the same thing with the Cherry 13. That's a staple Air Jordan 3. The Air Jordan 3 is easily considered, the Jordan that saved the Jordan line and kept Michael Jordan with Nike. So I think that a sneaker like that, we got to kind of optimize its releases and give it like a little bit more respect, right? So when we release it 4 years after, the reimagined release, are we putting that sneaker in like a bad position? Are we like affecting the narrative or the story and the history that that shoe carries? I don't. It's not a big deal. Obviously, it's not the end of the world, but I don't want to see a sneaker like that, sit, because I think when a shoe like that sits, that's gonna be like a telltale sign that Jordans might be on their way out. Because I mean, you can only re-retro a colorway so many times, and a lot of these new colorways for me, they don't do anything. They're not that significant to me because, like I said, I collect based on the history, the culture. So some of these new pairs, like the fact that they don't have that history, they don't have that impact on the culture, I tend to turn away from them. So I'm curious to see, what direction Jordan Brand goes in, because at the end of the day, I mean, if we're retroing shoes so soon, is Jordan Brand running out of ideas? Are they not acknowledging all the pairs from the mid 2000s that came out? Like there's so many shoes from the mid 2000s that we we need to, see a re-release of. I mean, the Pine Green 14s just got confirmed recently to be coming out at the end of the year, which is a shoe that I've been waiting for years, and I'm super excited for it because the 14 is a underrated pair of sneakers. I love the silhouette. I love the execution of the shoe in general, especially with the gloss on the paint. My favorite pair being the Candy Cane 14s. So I'm excited for these Pine Green 14s, but like, where are more pairs like that? Like, why are pairs like that not getting taken out of the vote? Why are we constantly redoing the same pairs over and over again? I just think that Nike needs to essentially just go deeper in their bag, because if they fail to go deeper in their bag, I think that they'll fail to carry on the legacy of Jordans, of sneaker culture, because at the end of the day, I mean, Jordans are what started sneaker culture. So when that light dies, what does the community kind of hold up as its staple or its representation? I mean, essentially the Air Jordan, every pair, or just Jordan in general, they're the mascot for the community. So I'm interested to see where the next few years of execution on releases and retros and things like that go, because essentially it'll show whether or not we're entering a entirely new era for shoes or not. But like I said earlier, we'll see how that goes, and we can't necessarily predict everything. All that being said, I appreciate you guys staying for the episode. I hope that you guys appreciate my perspective, and of course share your own, because at the end of the day, I love talking about shoes. I love hearing perspectives from the community. This is my favorite thing to talk about, so where your guys' heads at, I really want to know. I want to find out what you guys are, what worries you about recent releases in terms of the future, and what excites you about recent releases in terms of the future as well. The trajectory of sneakers and the trajectory of fashion. Where do you guys look to blend the two? Once again, I'm your host, Hassan. It was a pleasure to speak to you guys today and vent my ideas and my feelings. I appreciate you guys staying. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.